Welcome to Carlsen and Chill. My name is Courtney.
And I'm Andrew.
And we're ready for a podcast.
Absolutely.
So how's your week been, Andrew?
It's been super busy.
Yeah.
I remember when I said I had a couple days off and it was great. Well, now I don't. I'm working.
Scratch that.
I'm working till almost like 6 every day.
Yeah.
But after tomorrow, which we're recording this on a Thursday, after tomorrow, I will have a 2-week vacation.
Yes.
And it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be epic. We're going to do all the things.
What does that entail?
That entails just flying on a plane.
Flying on a plane?
Yeah, we're going to go back to Indiana.
We're going back.
We're going back to the past. We're not going to the past, but we're going upstate.
But we actually are going to be going to the past in a little bit.
What does that mean? Oh, yeah. I'm like, what does that mean?
The listeners don't know, but you and I know that this is being recorded after you have spoken with your sister.
Yes, we had an interview with my sister Hollie this week. And unfortunately, like Andrew said, he worked a lot of overtime this week.
Yesterday was my busiest day, and I stayed at work until 6, so I was not able to be at the interview with Courtney, but I was there in spirit.
Yes, he was. Yeah, so we had good sister time. It was a lot of fun. It was crazy because we were both really nervous. I'm like, why are we nervous right now? We talk to each other all the time.
It's just because you have a microphone between you two.
Yeah, and we were sharing one microphone. We were sitting face to face, so we were so close.
So the surprise I got for Prime Day was I bought Courtney her own special pink fuzzy microphone.
Guys, I'm in love. It is so pink, so fuzzy, so cute.
Unfortunately, I was not able to get it set up to have two microphones recording at the same time because they're not. The interface is different because they're USB microphones and not XLR, which that probably won't make a difference to most of you, but
doesn't make a difference to me.
But it's a little bit more complex in its setup than I thought it would be, and I wasn't able to get it set up with the very minimal time I had because of all this overtime.
Yeah, so we are currently sitting about 5 inches from each other's faces.
Still on one mic, but we're using our new mic arms, so now we don't have it balancing on a table. We actually have it between us physically.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so we got cool. 2 mic arms, 2 microphones, 2 hearts.
2 eyes, we have 4 arms. I was going to say 2 arms.
Yeah, that's 4.
But I was going to say we have 2 forearms.
How about, all right,
we
no
have
more
4
math.
forearms.
Math and body don't mix with Courtney.
It doesn't, unfortunately.
So other than that, what have we been up to?
What have I been up to this week? This week was a lot of fun. So on Saturday, Andrew's older sister, it was her birthday. So we went to go visit her with all the girls and dad. That was fun.
And me, I was also there.
Well, you're included in that already.
Oh.
That we went. You were included in the we.
Okay.
And so that was fun. And then I worked Monday. And yesterday I hung out with Hollie. We did the interview, but then we also went to Goodwill and we went to Bell's and we picked out some outfits. We're going on a sister cruise at the end of August, so I'm super excited.
Sister.
So she's doing her travel agent business stuff and she has to get a headshot. What about you, Andrew? How's your week been?
I already told you I was working.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of jumping around in our timeline. It's okay. So I tagged along for the big excursion for my sister's birthday, and that was a lot of fun. And then it rained a lot. It has been raining a lot.
Oh yeah, it downpoured on our way home.
Yes. But other than that, it's just been a lot of work and kind of over it.
Yeah. Stinky.
So Courtney and I did another popsicle stick date.
What was it, Andrew?
It was milkshakes and a movie.
I literally forgot. That's why I had to ask.
Oh, no.
Okay, but I do remember now.
So, yeah, Courtney made us some really yummy milkshakes.
They were bomb. I mean, Andrew a strawberry vanilla milkshake, and mine was peanut butter. It was very good.
Why didn't you make them the same?
Because Andrew wanted vanilla ice cream, and I hate vanilla ice cream, and I didn't want it.
Whoa, hey, what's wrong with vanilla?
I need a little flavor.
I see how it is.
So
the movie we watched, I will put it in my recommendations. That's actually was going to be my recommendation. But I picked a sad movie, and we cried.
Andrew has been in charge of movies the last, 3 times we watched movies?
You asked me what we want to watch, and I feel
But he always picks a sad movie.
It's because they're good.
They're emotional. Andrew picked the movie. It was sad.
It was sad, but it was the good kind of sad.
Yeah, it was a very good movie. It's my first time watching it, so
I'll mention what it was in recommendation.
We did fast forward through a couple parts because I was so sad.
Yeah, this is a bit tough watch. It's not one that you want to rush back to.
Or watch with kids, probably.
Do not. No.
No. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, Andrew?
No, but we are about to get into Courtney's interview with Hollie. So, I am going to hold my breath, and I will pretend like I'm there, but you won't hear me. And then when I breathe again, that's when I'll be back in the room.
Okay,
are
sounds
you ready?
Good. Ready. Let's start the interview. So today we're here with Hollie. How are you?
I'm good.
This is my sister, for you guys don't know.
We might sound exactly the same, so good luck trying to figure out who's talking.
Yeah, when we were younger, we would always trick our mom. She fell for it every time.
On the phone, she could never tell.
So, Hollie, you're the first interviewee on the podcast. How do you feel?
Woo, I'm honored. Thank you.
A little nervous.
A tad.
We're all a little nervous.
Yeah.
I'm still nervous. I've known her my whole 30 years of life, and I'm nervous.
I'm nervous my life won't be exciting enough, but...
Oh, you're fine. I don't do anything, and we find something to talk about, so... Hollie's my older sister. She's 3 years older than me.
Is it 3?
Yeah.
2.5.
2.5. Almost 3.
Yeah.
She's the one who sucked all the good genes out of mom and left me with the bad ones.
Definitely.
Thanks a lot.
First child's best child.
No. We have the same laugh, too. So today we're just going to be talking a little bit about life and Hollie and her journey as a mom and all the things. So our first question is going to be, Hollie, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I am a sonographer, aka ultrasound tech.
Mm-hmm.
And
how long have you been doing that for?
A little over 10 years.
Yeah, a long time.
A very long time.
She studied her butt off.
I did. And yeah, it's a lot more than you think it is. A ton of physics. I like the science side, but I don't love the math side. That's just me. And I have a specialty in lots of things.
Yeah, all the things, actually. Literally all the things.
So I scan echocardiography, pediatrics, breast, vascular, abdomen, OBGYN.
She's a doctor, basically.
No.
Yeah, she is.
But I do
let her fool you.
I see all of your insides.
Ew.
Oh, man. So that's my day job. I work 3 days a week, 40 hours. And then the other 4 days that I'm off, I do everything else in the world.
She's super mom.
I am a travel agent, and I'm a homeschool mom.
How do you like that?
Which one?
Both.
Most days are pure chaos.
Yep.
And I really am thankful that I get to spend more time with the kids Monday through Thursday. We get to do the things we didn't get to do when I was working a Monday through Friday job, like extracurricular activities and like slowing down with school, doing things we want to do, getting outside of the house. But the kids are a handful.
Yeah, most kids are.
So
her youngest never stops talking.
Mm-hmm. There was a point in time, a lot of people who see me in day-to-day life know there was a point in time where Silas didn't talk. He was almost 2 years old. He was actually, I think he was at the 2-year-old mark. We went to the doctor's office and he had his checkup and they're like, oh, is he saying this word and that word? And can he, whatever, I don't know, do all these things. And I said, no. And they said, no. And they said, is he saying more than 10 words? And no. So then I was concerned that he may have had autism. I was on Google for a very long time. And then out of nowhere, he started talking in complete paragraphs.
Yeah, he literally does not stop.
He can just talk your ear off. Don't start a conversation. It will never end. And you'll be sucked into it for the rest of the day. So I'm warning you, if you ever run into him, beware.
Yeah,
he's a talker.
He's super funny.
Yeah. My oldest is more follow the rules, so she'll talk to you, but she won't, kill you by sentences.
She's a pre-teenager.
Oh, it's getting rough out
But
there.
she's a teenager. She's 6 foot tall, basically.
Yeah. It's sad because I see her as a teenager, even though she's not, because, she looks like a teenager and now she's acting like a teenager. So
How many kids do you have, Holly?
I have 2 chillins,
Mm-hmm.
a 3-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was a long span, but I was scared to start over. I was too scared. Pregnancy scary. Baby stage is scary.
Having to start all over again.
Starting all over is scary. Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was doing at all the second time. Maybe I was naive the first time, but I feel like
She was young.
I was a good mom when I was young. Now that I'm older, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. No idea.
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah.
This is the first time anyone's ever gone through life.
You're right. You're right. The first time I've had my second child.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you're allowed to make mistakes.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for making me realize that.
So talking about being a young mom, when did you get married, Holly?
I got married when I was 18. So we have been married since 2010. Oh my gosh. Our next anniversary will be 15 years.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like you were just at 12.
I don't even feel old enough to be married for 15 years. That's crazy. Yeah.
Can't relate.
You're not old at all. Just me.
Isn't that crazy? We're 2.5 years apart and Holly's been married for almost 15 years.
Oh, it's insane. That's not okay. But I was 17 when I graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to college for a year. I dormed there. And the second year, I was about to go into my second year of college. And I was discussing with my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, that I didn't know what I was going to do for where I was going to stay
Mhm.
because I got scholarships to stay at the dorm. So we were like, let's get married. And then we went to the BJ's parking lot and he got down on a knee after we bought a ring inside of BJ's.
We love that. I needed a place to stay, so we got married.
We did. I mean, that
Me too.
sometimes you learn to love people, right? Like
That's so funny.
But-
So how did you meet your husband, Holly?
my husband and I met at church. We probably did not. I mean, we knew each other existed, but we didn't interact. But both of we had a mutual friend. And it's funny because looking back, we discussed this. Both of us were at our mutual friend's house at the same time one weekend.
Mhm.
And neither of us realized that either one was there because he was hanging out with the boys and I was hanging out with the girl. And yeah, we just like never noticed each other. And then we were in youth group and
And then it was love at first sight.
that was it. Happily ever after.
Yeah. How long did you guys date for?
We were probably in 10th grade. So 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade.
It's like 3.5, 4 years.
4 years by the time I finished my first year in college. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she got married.
I mean, 4 years as a child. Come on now. And then I got married for 15 years. This is crazy.
Our mom was not very happy about it.
Oh no. We discuss this all the time. God bless her soul. Which now that I'm a mom, I totally understand.
Mhm.
She just wanted the best for us. And, she really struggled with me being married young and then me having a baby young. She thought I ruined my life because, I wanted to have a family, but I did want to go to school. And I was very school oriented, like all A type of student. I, always tried to do the best at school. So I think she
Yeah.
was just concerned that I wouldn't finish school. And
You were
since-
ruining your life.
Yes. She didn't have anything past a high school education and she barely got that. So I think she just wanted better for us.
Yeah. She was a mama bear.
Yeah, that's understandable. So
Mhm.
yeah, we got married at 18 and it's been working our way through life ever since.
Yep. I know. Do you feel like you're like 60?
Definitely. I mean, people say I feel bad, tired and old. And I told my husband last night, gravity is starting to take its toll on me.
Oh, no.
So this is a part of being old.
Oh, do you feel like you're old?
People ask me all the time, why do you say you're old or why do you feel old? And I just feel like I have lived so much life.
Mm-hmm. You have.
in this little
in your
time.
short years.
Yeah.
You have all the degrees.
I mean,
You've been married for 15 years.
I've done too many
You've had 3
things.
children.
Yeah. I've had too many jobs. I've moved around all over the place.
Yeah.
And
yeah, Hollie used to travel for her sonography job.
yeah, you're right. I was a travel tech.
What states have you been to?
I did a contract in California,
Mhm.
a contract in Texas, a contract in Wyoming, and a contract in New Mexico. And in between, we just kind of meandered around, mostly on the West Coast.
They did all the activities. They went to like all the national parks. They took some really cool vacays.
Definitely.
They went to a balloon festival. Was that in New Mexico?
Yeah, New Mexico.
That was really cool.
That was great. Death Valley was probably a highlight, and Joshua
Ooh.
Tree. Like all of California's big parks. You got to do that one day. If you don't do anything else, go to California and see all their big parks.
Yeah. I went to Redwood when I was with Hollie there, and it
Yeah.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So what would you say that your daily routine is like with your job and your kids? How do you juggle everything?
Do I juggle everything? I don't know, but the best I can do Monday through Thursday. I used to be kind of more strict with like our homeschool schedule, and I've just kind of relaxed a little bit. So I normally let the kids sleep in a little bit, usually 8:00 we're all up.
Mhm.
And then we eat some breakfast. We do some school. I try and get some housework done. Bria goes to piano one day a week, and then we have swim every night. My daughter's a competitive swimmer, so she swims.
She's amazing.
Swims every night for 2 hours a night. And during summer, it's not just 2 hours a night. It's 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night.
Yeah.
So that's pure chaos, but she really enjoys it. So that's kind of our schedule: is eat, swim, school, and sleep a little bit.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
Hollie always says, I don't know what to do. I'm so busy. And then she always adds one more thing to her plate.
I'm telling you. So
She'll say, I'm so busy, I can't do that. And then she'll say, Courtney, look at this new business adventure I'm going on. I'm like, what happened to being too busy?
So that's how I became a travel agent. Is I was like, God's calling me to homeschool. I need to slow down. I need to spend the time with my kids. I left my administrative Monday through Friday job, which I was working way too many hours at. All of a sudden, I was home with the kids doing homeschool, and I'm like, I have so much time on my hand. I was also marathon training at this time because,
Again, another thing, because she's crazy.
because I'm crazy. And marathon training was kind of wrapping up, and I thought, what am I going to do with all this time? So I thought, why don't I make some money with all this time?
Mhm.
And I became a travel agent, and I really love it, but it does take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I'm just constantly on the phone or running around or chauffeuring the kids or cleaning the house.
I see Hollie once every couple months, and
Yeah.
we live next to each other.
It is pretty sad. Like, I should do better.
No,
Definitely do
that's
better.
not to guilt trip you. It's just, you're always crazy busy.
Yeah, it is. Everybody knows it. I'm being honest. All my friends know this. If you're going to be my friend, you have to pursue me. And that's why I love my friends.
My friends also know that about me.
Yes.
Bad communication.
Yes. I mean, I'm so sorry, but you come to me and say, hey, we haven't talked in forever. I will acknowledge that, and I will set you a date in my calendar, but it's got to be in the calendar.
That sounds about right. Oh, man. That's crazy. So we talked a little bit about your kids. Do you want to go a little bit more into that? Did we say how old they are?
A 3-year-old and 11-year-old.
Oh, yeah. A little bit of age gap there.
Yeah.
Do they get along?
They do not get along. So I
Surprise.
thought that this would be a great age gap. It's so cute. I need to find the original video, but whenever Bria first found out that we were pregnant,
She was so sweet.
she just sobbed with happiness, and it was so cute. And then the day I brought our son home, she gave me the rolly eyes and said, the baby gets all the attention. So it's been a fight since the beginning.
Yeah. That balance between oldest and youngest.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And they just, I don't know what it is, but since Silas is a talker, they are able to communicate and fight in a bad way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And like we said, Silas never stops talking. So
Yeah.
it's probably constant arguing.
Due to him being around adults all day long, all the time, he talks like an adult. And so he will argue like an adult, and he will use big kid words.
Oh, yeah. He was arguing like an adult today.
Yeah.
He said, no, you don't tell me to do that.
He may have heard that from me.
I believe it. So we talked a little bit about your kids, and I said earlier that you had 3 kids. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. So before I had Bria, we got married at 18, and we got pregnant shortly after. I mean, maybe 6 months after.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pregnant with my firstborn, which was actually a boy. And I had a stillbirth before Bria. He was born when I was 19. So I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I was just trying to find my way through life at that time. But it was a very life-changing experience. Even though it was bad, like, obviously a bad experience, I think it really helped me be who I am. That sounds so cliche,
Mm-hmm.
but that, and also be appreciative of motherhood.
Yeah. So what was your experience like with your stillbirth? Like going into the hospital or finding that out? Just a little glimpse into it.
So how we found out, I was working at the hospital actually, and I just remember thinking, wow, I haven't felt the baby move today. I was full term. And I thought, well, it's probably just because I've been busy. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll just wait till tonight. Usually when I laid down at night, I could feel him kicking. And when I got home, I still didn't feel right. So
How far along were you at this point? Do you remember?
I don't exactly remember. I want to say 34 or 36 weeks.
Okay.
I got home, and at the time we had moved in with my in-laws because my husband was working out of town. We knew the baby was coming. I was really nervous to be young and alone
Mm-hmm.
on our own. So my in-laws were gracious enough to let us stay there, while the baby was going to be young.
Was that while was mom diagnosed yet with cancer?
No, that was
Okay.
after
That
Bria.
was before. Okay.
Mhm. So I came back home to my in-laws' house and that night, and my mother-in-law said, why don't you eat the Snickers bar I have? And I have some orange juice, and that should definitely work. That's plenty of sugar. So I did that, and I waited an hour and nothing happened. So I called my midwife. At the time I was using a midwife. I won't mention in the town that she was in. She had her own birthing center, and it was a really bad experience. She almost made me feel guilty for just whatever had happened to me in this event.
And I've heard stories from other women that I've gone to Bible studies with that who have used the same group
Yeah,
and same midwives, and they also have, unfortunately, this is so unfortunate, they also have very bad stories.
Mhm. I actually ran into, while homeschooling this year, another mom who had a very similar story to mine. Her son lived, but with very traumatic brain injuries, and it's definitely changed the course of their lives.
Yeah.
So it's very unfortunate. The midwife is no longer working in the area, but there were so many families, I think, that were affected by her care. So I'm a big advocate for taking care of yourself and speaking up for yourself when you feel like something's wrong. But I didn't learn that until this event. So maybe that was a part of God's plan. But and also why I went into healthcare myself, because sometimes patients know that something's wrong, but they can't always get that across.
Don't know how to communicate it.
Yes, because of course they don't know the medical terminology. But besides that, we headed into the midwife's office after she told me that she didn't know why I waited so long.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And we went in there. She had this ancient ultrasound machine. Now being an ultrasound tech, I kind of laugh because it was like, it reminds me of like those 80s computers that take up a whole
Oh my
wall.
gosh.
And understandably, she was so nervous. She couldn't really get the machine to work correctly. She could tell by putting the probe down that there wasn't movement. And so I think she just didn't want to make the call on her own.
Right.
But also clearly she told us, I can see that the heart's not moving. That's not a good sign. So
Right.
even though she couldn't get the heart rate. So she asked us to head over to the hospital, and that was hard. I mean, the hospital was only next door, but now you got to pick yourself up, gather yourself,
Right. Just knowing.
and go over there. So we get to the hospital. We have lovely staff there. Everyone was so nice. They put us at the end of the hall, which was great. So it was quiet, and they turned the sound off in our room so we wouldn't hear all the other things going on in the other rooms or the paging. And yeah, they induced me and I had a baby. So
Yeah.
it was crazy. It was crazy to think, at 19, I was so naive. I thought I don't know what I was thinking. I just didn't think I was going to give birth.
Right.
So I guess I thought I would just have a C-section because this was a medical issue, right?
Yeah.
So I just assumed surgery. And when I get there and they're like, okay, we're going to induce you and we'll check you in a couple of hours. And I was like, oh, I have to have a baby. So not only was my first birthing experience like a little traumatic, but also, I birthed a baby who didn't come out alive, to be honest. So it was very interesting story, a very interesting moment in life. Mm-hmm. Everything was like slow motion. And even to this day, when I think back on it, it's still, all my memories are very like slow motion. Although I remember every single thing. I remember sitting in the bed towards the end of my labor. It was in the evening. And I remember my mother-in-law sitting across from me. I remember the color of the rocking chair.
Oh my gosh.
I remember the exact shirt she was wearing. It was black. And believe it or not, it had this little heart with a EKG on it. Mm-hmm. And it said something about heartbeats or whatever, which is so ironic.
Oh.
And then, there was a little couch over by the window and my mom and my aunts and my grandma were over there. And I was grateful that I had a lot of support. I feel like this was a turning moment in our mom's thoughts about my marriage and my family and how my life was supposed to go. So even though it was a bad event, I think mom changed because of it and it allowed us to have a closer relationship.
Yeah, I think a lot. I think you're right with that because I feel like mom went from being, since we grew up single mom, she went from being you need to be able to support yourself and, do what you need to do to get through life to being, I want you to be happy and I need you to do what you want to do to be happy. Yeah.
And I do feel like when the time is getting close and a baby is finally coming, no matter what the circumstances, you find that even if you weren't ready, even if like you don't know how you're going to do it, everyone's had time. We've had 9 months to expect a baby. And so you don't just lose a person, you also lose their future that you had in your head.
I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah. And I think that's where my mom finally kind of, even though she didn't want to say it, I think she realized that there was going to be a future with a baby boy around. And we didn't have many boys in our family.
No, we didn't.
So that was kind of, an exciting thing to expect and to hope for.
Yeah.
And to lose all of that future and expectation and, all those years of toddlerhood you think about, that's a whole nother loss. So that's a different type of grief too.
Now going from that childbirth experience to your other two, how were they different?
So this is kind of...
Were you scared going into your second with Bria?
I actually wasn't. And again, I think I was naive and just excited to have a baby because...
you got pregnant pretty fast after that, right?
Again? 6 months after.
Okay.
Yeah. We did go to maternal fetal medicine with Bria. We had 6 months in between my son and with Bria to kind of try and figure out why we lost the last baby and how we're going to pursue the next baby. Mm-hmm. We did some genetic testing. We did all kinds of things. Nothing came back. We have no idea what happened with my first pregnancy. So they continued to just monitor me with Bria, and she grew very healthily. I grew very healthily, very unhealthily.
Stop. Hollie said I also grew, not in the good way.
A lot. I was the largest with Bria. I was the happiest probably with Bria. I think I was just, I don't want to say naive, but I was just excited to think I'm being very closely monitored. And if something goes wrong, hopefully they can catch it.
And she was your rainbow baby.
She was. So we were just excited to have all those feelings again. Mm-hmm. And now it's a girl. So, it's different. Yeah, it was a good experience, honestly, being pregnant with her. At the end, my blood pressure got high and I got chunky. So,
I mean, that's me right now. I'm not even pregnant.
Story of an American's life.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I did get put on bed rest for the last couple of months. And I had her. all my childbirth experiences were a little bit different, and all my pregnancies were a little bit different. I feel like my son, I had a lot of nausea the whole time.
With Silas?
With Seth, my first son.
Okay.
And then Bria, I feel like I was just hungry all the time. I craved everything.
Yeah.
And I was also fearful of being nauseous, so I ate too much, to be honest. Because
and then you're nauseous because you ate too much.
Yes. And I thought that eating would help the nausea go away. And then with my son, I was in very good shape. I was in probably the best shape of my life before I had my son. And
she glowed. She was beautiful.
I had the little basketball belly. It was perfect. He was a really good pregnancy. My first, I had like just a little bit of like sleepy medication before, during childbirth. With my daughter, I had an epidural, which only partially worked on half of my body.
That's terrifying. That is so terrifying.
Not to scare you new mothers out there or anything, but it didn't work all the way. So I thought, you know what? Oh, and it gave me a really bad headache, which I know is a typical symptom. So I thought for the third one, for Silas, I'm just going to try cold turkey.
And let me tell you, I was there. And I'm scarred. I mean, she beasted it. And you didn't have to push very long.
Silas,
she pushed like 3 times and he popped right out.
Silas was my heaviest baby. He was almost 10 pounds.
And she had him freaking natural.
Yeah. No medication, none, 0 zip, no Tylenol, no nothing. And I just remember, with my other kids, to be honest, Bria was small and Seth was almost 6 pounds. Bria was 7 pounds and Silas was almost 10 pounds.
So they got bigger.
Definitely. And this time I weighed less. So it was interesting that he was so big. When I had to push him out, I was like, one push, and I looked at my husband. I said, he's not out yet? Because the other kids, they came right out.
Yeah.
But this one took him a hot minute. And then I was a little panicked because Silas had his cord wrapped around his neck twice. It's funny because that maternal instinct at the end of my pregnancy, I asked to leave work 1 week early. I wanted to work up until the very end, but I asked to take off 1 week before I was supposed to give birth because I was very, very anxious and I felt like something was wrong. And I didn't want to have to keep calling the doctor every day and then calling out of work because I have patients on a schedule. It was an outpatient center. I took off work and I called the next day and told the doctor, I don't really feel the baby moving all that much, but the baby is moving. And I came in and they did some testing and I didn't love the way they performed the test because I feel like they really had to invoke the baby moving and it took the complete 30 minutes of the test. Oh, man. Really, if the baby was going to move on its own, it should have moved a little bit earlier. But anyways, they the doctor was out of town. And so they were kind of trying.
Isn't that always the case?
Always.
Isn't that crazy?
It
Every single time you're ready to give birth, the doctor is on vacation.
Yeah. So we were all trying to hang in there to wait for him to get back. And we did. But I gave birth later than expected. We had planned to induce me a little bit earlier because of all my past history, just to make sure. And now we are giving birth. Basically, I was full term and I knew he was moving less during, being in the hospital, trying to labor. They came in a couple times because his heart rate decelled and they told me, oh, you got to get back in bed or, oh, you can't be in this position.
I do remember them telling you that.
Yes. Yeah. And my husband, I knew what that meant, but I don't think my husband knew too much. So he just kept looking at me saying, what's that? Why is it going down? Why is it going? Every time it would go down, he'd get panicked because the nurses would run in. And I didn't say it out loud, but I knew what that meant. And the probability of the cord being around the head was probably the situation. And, a cord being around a baby's neck once, it's kind of normal, to be honest, but twice is a little more dangerous. Any more than twice is extremely dangerous. Yeah. So when he started coming out and they told me the cord was around the head, I pushed with all my might and that baby was coming out.
He came out. But she was a champ. I mean, I held it together until the very end, which I don't know how.
The very end, I was praying that Jesus would bring that epidural in the room. And it was too late.
So bad. I just wanted to cry because I'm like, she's in so much pain.
It was too late. Baby.
And now I've learned that when I have a baby, I want all the drugs. I don't want to do it naturally.
No,
I've decided that.
There is no shame in taking anything for childbirth. I mean, do it the way you want to do it. I wanted to try because I already knew what an epidural was. And I do feel like it made for an easy childbirth. Bria's like birthing experience was perfect.
Yeah.
She just perfectly came out. I was not in pain. Everyone came into the room and was congratulatory. Like they
Isn't
were
it crazy
excited.
how every experience is different?
Yeah.
With the same woman, you could have 5 different pregnancies and they're all going to be different.
Yeah, all 3 pregnancies were different. And my doctor did deliver both Bria and Silas, my last 2 babies. Love him to death. I mean, so great.
Yeah.
He came in. I remember
He was very nice.
I remember you, Courtney, saying to me, because I was dying and I was like, I got to get this baby out. And he said, when he broke my water, he said, all right, just remember 2 contractions and I'll be here. I'm just across the street and I can get here in 2 contractions.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying, it's time. Like, I need to get the doctor in here. I don't even know what was going on around me. Maybe you remember. I just remember, like, this is it. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And the doctor wasn't here. And Courtney said, oh, just 2 contractions. She was reminding me.
I don't remember.
I remember that. It is burned into my memory forever.
That's hilarious.
Because in my head, I just kept thinking, when is this going to end? I don't know why it felt like such a long labor compared
And I don't think it was.
It wasn't. It was not a long labor.
But I'm sure when you feel like you're breaking a million bones
for
in
that
your
long.
butt.
For that long, yeah. Every contraction was slightly grueling. And when she said 2 more, I was like, I can't do 2 more.
Kill me now.
But it was so cute. The doctor walked in. He put his gloves on. He said, it's baby time.
He did. He was so excited. And I got to cut the cord.
Yes.
That was exciting. I can't remember if Stephen didn't want to.
Oh, he definitely didn't want to. No.
Oh, yeah. And the doctor looked at me. He said, do you? I said, absolutely. Ew.
I had to start breathing again because I wanted to stop right here and say thank you for listening to our podcast.
Thank you so much for supporting us.
If you do like listening to us, remember to like and comment and subscribe on whatever platform that you listen to us on. It could be YouTube,
Spotify,
iHeartRadio,
Apple Podcasts,
Pandora,
and all of those.
all of them, all of the above.
All of them.
We're on most listening services thanks to RSS, and you can listen to us on whatever you feel like.
Thank you guys so much for supporting us. We appreciate everything you do.
We love you.
We love you.
All right, I'm going to hold my breath again.
Back to the episode.
Yes. So Courtney is
yeah.
forever tied to the soul of my youngest, which
Her
is
umbilical cord.
which is why Silas is, the character he is.
He's ridiculous. Oh my gosh. So that being said, your kids probably keep you on your toes, right?
Yes.
How do you keep your identity separate from your mom identity? What do you do to keep yourself grounded and say, okay, this is still me. I'm not just a mom, but I'm also this, and this.
This is so important. This is such a good question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone needs to ask themselves this question, whether or not you're mom, because I was in a funk. Let's just be honest. I have problems with depression. And we have mental health issues in our family, and it's not welcomed in a lot of situations.
There's a lot of stigma around mental health still.
And even sadly, in my own friendships, and not so much my family, because I think my family understands, but in my own friendships, I have friends that don't understand.
Yeah.
And they have flat out told me before that,
oh, really?
That I've had someone tell me that I'm sad to talk to. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I was just sharing how I feel.
Very good friend.
I know. So, but it makes me realize that not everyone struggles with mental health.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that's like to not struggle with mental health.
Yeah.
But they don't know what it's like to struggle with mental health.
Right.
So it puts it into perspective a little bit.
As well say too, it's difficult because I feel like you're either on one end of the spectrum or the other. You either grow up in a family where mental health is recognized, or you grow up in a family where no, we don't talk about our feelings, and if you have mental health problems, you're weak.
Absolutely. Like, yes. And I really love my husband, but he grew up in he was a only child, and he's a manly man.
Oh yeah, it's even worse with men because they're told to suppress their emotions.
Yeah, he's been understanding in the last few years, but it has taken like a lot of our marriage for him to finally understand that this is me, knowing that I haven't changed from my crazy self from the beginning. So,
yeah.
But along in this like mental health journey, actually a couple years ago, I was just in a funk, and I was like, I got to do something, and I got onto. I think it's BetterHelp or Better Health or something. The app.
BetterHelp?
Yeah,
one of
like
those.
that. One of those apps. And I got a little counselor person, and we talked, and we only had one session, and I thought it was kind of weird, but actually I think I was here on your couch.
Oh yeah. It was.
And she like prompted me, I think maybe through an email or a chat, to ask me, what do I like to do? And what do I do for myself? And I literally had nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, well, do you read? No. Do you like to do some type of exercise? No. Do you eat a certain food or like specific coffees? Or, she was like trying so hard to pull something out of me. And I was like, no, I have nothing. I have no hobbies. I don't do anything.
I'm in survival mode.
Yes. Barely making it, lady. And she was stumped. She really was stumped. Like, and clearly said, that's not healthy. Like, you need to find something for you. So that has stuck with me, surprisingly. And at that point, I think that's when I started training for the marathon.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to have a goal. I need to have a goal in front of me that I can work towards. So I attempt to make little goals for myself now. I trained for the marathon, and now Silas is at the walkie-talkie stage. He's too big. I can't take him on runs, and I don't trust him with my 11-year-old because they're like Cain and Abel, and they'll probably kill each other while I'm gone. So I don't do long runs that take me 4 hours anymore, but I do try and get a little bit of exercise in now. Just this week, I told myself I'm going to wake up. I'll do like 20 minutes of a little workout video, and I'll do 30 minutes of a really fast-paced walking on the treadmill. And that's been super helpful to my health. Mm-hmm. I also started this app where I log like gratitude things.
Yeah, I saw that. It looks so cute.
It is very cute. I think it's called Gratitude Jar or something. So every day that you log something, it puts a little star in a jar.
That's
and
cute.
At the end of the year, you'll see your whole jar fill up. Aww. And then it empties with the new year. So
I'm going to start that.
Yes.
What's it called? Gratitude
jar. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to download it.
I try to write at least 5 things a day. Mm-hmm. And I have noticed now it's unfortunately my natural instinct to complain and find things that I don't like.
That's our family,
I'm
think.
so sorry.
It's unfortunate.
It's really bad.
Our mom was probably the same way, and I know I'm definitely the same way.
And I feel bad for my friends. This is probably why they get annoyed with me, and just be honest with me and be like, you're annoying and sad and whatever. Well,
you're sad. Bye.
I'm trying to do better. So my gratitude jar, I put 5 things in every day. Oh, and you can also like just shake it and it will give you a random thing that you wrote in the past.
So cute.
So you can, look back on it.
That's a really great resource.
It has really started to make me try to find things during the day to be grateful for. So that's changing my mind. Those little things, just exercising, trying to eat better, writing down things I'm thankful for. They're so cliche, but hey, that's what's getting me through this mom life.
For sure. I think one of the last questions I want to ask you, Hollie, is how do you think between your birth experiences, some of our let's just call it what it is, childhood trauma.
We can only laugh. Isn't that so sad?
That's very sad. We have a dark sense of humor. How do you think all of that has played into your faith and your walk with Jesus?
I was thinking about that this week. Like, when I had my first son, my stillbirth, I remember people coming into the room afterwards saying, "You're so strong, and I don't know how you're doing this," and whatever. Well,
it's not like you don't have a choice.
First of all, yeah, you really have nothing to do but move forward. And it's not that you don't have days or moments where you're like, you can do nothing but lay there. So there are those things behind closed doors that people don't see, and you're just going to have to, deal with. That's a part of your personal journey. Life and grief. Yeah. So with my first son, I really held on to the fact that God had a plan for me. And I was young, and I knew that motherhood was in my journey, and I knew that I was young, and I knew that I had a lot of life left to live. So I wasn't mad at God, even though I was really distraught and I didn't know how I was going to move on. I wasn't mad at him. In fact, it drew me closer because I wanted to know what his next step was. I wanted to know what the plan was.
Yeah.
So my only option was to get closer to God. And it's sad because I've noticed in my life that as things get better in my life, I think I need to rely on God less. So unfortunately, God had kept me in this circle of trauma for so long, I feel like, because he knew that it needed to culminate to a point to where I finally said that I needed him to move on.
You know, that's so interesting that you said that, because a couple of weeks ago I was thinking, like, I told Andrew, I said, you know, looking back, this is the happiest I feel like I've ever been in my life. Like, I'm at a good place. I love my relationship. You know, I love the church we go to. And I told him, I said, it's funny because I feel the exact same way. I feel like you can either turn to God or you can run away from God in your valley. And I feel like when I'm in my darkest place, I've always turned to God instead of turning away. So I thought the same exact thing. You know, what if I'm stuck in this bad cycle because I don't turn to God when I'm happy? You know, I don't put him first in my relationship. So that's so interesting, because I literally was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Now going through life, I totally see it that way, that we've been through so much, and the only thing we could do was rely on God to know what the next step, like the next step was completely dark. It was literally dark without the light. So like, that's all we could do, was just take one more step relying on God. And it's sad to say, but you know, I was so happy with Bria. Her childhood just flew by. I was in school. We were all working 2 jobs apiece. I mean, I was couponing because we were just trying to get by. Yeah.
She was an extreme couponer for a while. She was really good at it.
I was like the lady on TV. I'd come home with 50 packs of toilet paper that I got for $2.
She'd buy 50,000 newspapers and clip out all the coupons with the binder.
I would. It was crazy. But we were just trying to make ends meet. But I was happy because I had a husband, I had a home, I had my kid, and we had jobs and our own cars. And I was like doing life as a 20-year-old. And I was so proud of myself. But you lose track of, you know, you just lose that sense of, I don't know, relationship with God sometimes when you're happy. So I went, sadly, most of Bria's childhood trying to do life on my own. And then I got pregnant with Silas, and thankfully I read this life-changing book. It's crazy. It was about discipline, and I wish I could remember the name of it. I have it somewhere. And it was about something about like raising Jesus followers or something. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, generationally, you lose that relationship with God if you're not fostering it. And our mom was so diligent in being spiritual that it did get us through our young adulthood life. And then, you know, you go through this phase in your 20s and 30s where you think, I can do this all on my own. I'm an adult now.
For sure.
You lose that. And then you have children and you think, oh no, like if this continues on.
We all need Jesus.
Yeah, we all. Because my kids ain't going to see adulthood if I don't have some Jesus. But yeah, that kind of woke me up with Silas and made me realize I really, really need to get back into church. I need to get back into reading the word and to listening to God and relying on him for my next steps. Because even though things are happy, I mean, life is an ebb and flow, and it's just bound to happen that you're going to have a bump somewhere. And when you're stuck in the ways of the world, where are you going to go?
Yeah. And I mean, Hollie's talking about generational. Even Hollie getting back and taking that step, it got me back into church. Because I think without you going back to church, I wouldn't have gone back to church. Because the only reason I'm at the church we're at now is because you drug me there.
True.
And that was right after my divorce. So I know I wouldn't have made it. Thank you, Jesus.
It's hard because, you know, even being an adult who grew up in church every single Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, it's really hard stepping back into church after life has happened to you as an adult.
Yeah.
Maybe even more hard because you think that you should be better and you think that other people think you should be better.
Yeah.
And sometimes, to be honest, unfortunately, other people do try and impress that on you, which makes you feel even worse.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it's not fair. Don't do that if you're a Christian.
Yeah. That book I was talking to you earlier about, Let's All Be Brave by Annie F. Downs. There was a part in there where she was talking about how when she got back into church and was in youth group and stuff, she thought there was a rating of Christians. Like if you're a missionary, you go overseas and you do this, and this, you're a 5 out of 5 Christian.
Yeah.
If you're a teacher and you go to the grocery store and you go to church on Sundays, okay, well, you're a 2 out of 5 Christian. You know, like, So it's true. Like we have this ranking system in our head, but
Absolutely.
like God doesn't see us that way.
It's ingrained into my head knowing that I'm forgiven for everything and I don't have to, worry. My sin has been washed away. And then it's time to go to church and the guilt is overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so I know that does not come from God, but it just goes to show you that even people who grew up in church have that happen to them too.
Yes.
I mean, to be honest, you could be a drug addict coming into church and I could be a fallen away Christian coming into church and we're both like really living in the same sin.
Yeah.
And we're both scared to be here. So
For sure.
yeah, that's another note. Yep. You Christians out there, be nice to those people. You don't know what's going on
That's
with
right.
them.
Thank
Don't
you,
be
Jesus,
judgmental.
for the cross.
Yeah.
We're all the same.
Yeah.
Preach it, sister.
Woo! Okay. That was a good pep talk.
No, that's pretty good. All right. So I want to end this on a good note. I'm going to ask you, Hollie, do you have any advice that you would give to mothers, young moms, old moms, moms who are empty nesters, moms who have young kids? If you had one piece of advice to give a mom, what would it be?
My advice to parents is first, you have to check yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You got to check yourself. Most of the time, this is a weird way to put it, but it's kind of like training a dog. The dog's not the problem, most of the time. Most of the time, it's the way we're handling the situation. So it's really hard to acknowledge as my daughter gets older that I have handled situations the wrong way. Mm-hmm. But I am very forthcoming in apologizing and acknowledging that to make sure our relationship stays good. So yeah, I'd say, God first and check yourself second.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Hollie.
Thanks for having me.
Did you have a lot of fun?
I did. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too. We were very awkward at first. We're like, I've done this now 10 times with Andrew and I'm still awkward.
And I'm just wondering how close we sound in voices. Like, will people be able to tell us apart? I guess when we listen, we'll find out.
Yeah. So stay tuned. Thanks, Hollie.
Thanks.
Andrew, are you okay? Ew.
How long did I hold my breath
That
for?
was disgusting. At least 45 minutes.
Oh, man.
That's a world record.
Oh, with cuts, too, man.
No, it's 50 minutes with cuts. 52, actually.
Oh, man, that hurt my lungs.
You okay? You gonna make it?
I hope so.
Did you see heaven?
I saw something.
Oh, no. Well, while you're figuring out what you're doing, do you want to tell us what you have recommendation-wise for the week?
Well, I've already figured out what I'm doing, and I have recommendations for the week.
Well, it's not clear to me. Sorry, that was aggressive.
Wow, that was aggressive.
I love you.
So, yes, I do have a recommendation. So, the movie that we watched for our date night was Schindler's List.
It was so sad.
If you have seen it, you're like, bro, why are you picking that for date night?
Yeah.
And it's because I felt like watching it again, because it's a very powerful movie, a very heartwarming movie, but also a very sad movie.
Andrew and I were both sobbing at the end.
Crying.
We were holding hands, sobbing.
So hard.
And I told him, I said, I just couldn't imagine myself in that position.
Now, Schindler's List, not for kids. Absolutely not. Rated R. It's got language. It's got all the things that you would expect in a rated R movie. A lot of violence. Oh my gosh. Very realistic depictions of violence. It's not good. It's a very hard movie to sit through, but the message that it portrays, the message that it portrays is a very powerful and life-changing one.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yes, it was very sad. We cried. Probably not a great date night movie. Also, over 3 hours long.
Oh my gosh, really it was so long.
But it is one of my favorites just because
it was a long time to be sad.
Yeah. But it is a very good, very, very well-made movie. Yeah,
it's definitely a must-watch at least once. And the cinematography in it was fantastic.
Steven Spielberg, John Williams score, that violin, you hear that violin and you just start crying.
It was all really good.
And the lead actor was Liam Neeson, which Courtney didn't even recognize him.
I'm awful.
But yeah, it has an all-star cast, and it's got good child actors, which that's pretty rare in a lot of movies.
I cried the most with the children.
All right, spoiler alert, but when that little boy jumped in the poopy, Courtney lost it.
It reminded me of my nephew because it kind of looked like him. And I just sobbed because I couldn't imagine him having to do that. Like,
yeah.
Oh my, I'm going to cry just thinking about it again.
I will say, yeah, the little boy jumped in the poopy, and that's when Courtney cried the hardest. And I know it's not funny. It's not funny to make fun of the Holocaust because that's what the movie's centered on. But it was like, that's when Courtney started bawling.
I just couldn't.
Little poopy boy.
I couldn't.
But yes, it is very sad.
Whoa.
So spoiler alert, the boy jumps in the poopy.
Okay, do you have anything happier to talk about?
No. Schindler's List was pretty much it for me.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, you've been working a lot, so, I mean, reasonable.
All right, Courtney, what do you recommend?
So this week I read a book called Let's All Be Brave by Annie F. Downs. I read a couple weeks ago another book by her, but it was really good. It was talking about how God wants us to live our life to the fullest and about taking that first step, just being brave and taking the first step. And God will lead you where he wants you. And it was so good. It was a powerful message. Really great book. Recommend it. So that was awesome. We didn't say it during the interview, but my sister's travel agency, I want to shout her out.
Yeah, we're going to definitely plug in Hollie and what she does because she is fantastic.
Yeah, so you can find her on Facebook at Leave of Absence Travel.
Leave of Absence Travel.
Yep. She specializes in cruises and all-inclusive resorts. That's like her main thing, but she can help with anything travel related. So airplane flights, rentals, anything like that. She's great, and she can get you a great deal. And no hassle. You don't have to plan it. She does all the planning for you. And did I mention it's free?
It is free?
You don't have to pay a travel agent.
Wow.
Yeah. So she'll book everything for you, and it doesn't cost you a dime to use her. It just costs you your vacation.
That's awesome.
And she does all the planning, so you don't have a headache to do it.
So she booked our Christmas vacation, our Christmas cruise.
Yeah.
And we have also booked another cruise that we plan on taking in 2026.
Yeah, it's going to be on a new cruise ship. I'm so excited.
Now, I know what you're thinking. 2026, a long time away, but we're going to be paying it off over time. So it's almost like a cup of coffee a day. Thank you, Hollie, for booking us our cruises. And be sure to use Hollie to book your next cruise.
Hollie, sister.
Leave of absence travel. Leave of absence travel. MSC. That's where I want to be. On a boat with wife and me.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm not as good as you are.
What is that song called?
That's called MSC parentheses. Yeah. Hollie.
Okay, I was about to say, you're not even going to include Hollie in the title. I think you realized that at the end and you're like,
I did.
Yeah, Hollie.
I forgot everything we just sang.
So it's parentheses, yeah, and then bracket, Hollie.
I literally forgot every single word that just came out of our mouth.
And that happens a lot. But that was funny.
Oh my gosh, that was good.
So, I guess that's another podcast.
That's a wrap.
All right, Courtney, leave us off with something meaningful.
To save one life is to save the world entire.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I did. Nailed it. Now I'm gonna drink my tea and I'm gonna pat Marley and we're gonna record this. Andrew, yeah.
What's that song called?
That's called Marley and Tea. Parentheses, yeah, Andrew.
I mean, it fits the mantra. Can you wait to take your tea after I'm done talking?
I did.
But I was still...
Oh, I'm sorry. Do it again. Oh. You did it. Yay. How do you feel? You did good.
Oh, thank you.
You're natural. You didn't have any awkward pauses or anything. This is going to be a good one for Andrew to cut. You don't have to cut out a lot.
Just the cat licking her butt part.
There's 800 times where Marley's going back and forth like, shut up! Cut.
Okay. Or do you want it to be... All right, so now it's time for Courtney's interview with Hollie. So I'm going to make a little chime sound effect, and when I come back, the chime sound effect will play again.
That's too much, baby.
Here I go. I'm going to disappear now. Bye.
It's working. Hello.
Hello. Okay.
I just need to talk louder.
Yeah, you
and
need
be
to talk
closer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna be up close and personal.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is what me and Andrew do when we have to record. It's really
We gotta
weird.
like stare at each other's eyes.
But
through the
whenever you
microphone.
talk, I'll sit back, so it's
Okay.
not weird.
All right.
That's why I like having 2 microphones now. Okay.
Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. Jelly.
Jelly. All right, you ready? Are you nervous? I'm nervous too. It's okay.
I gotta poop.
Do you need a poop? I'll pause it.
No, it's okay.
Okay,
Let's
if
do
you
it.
need a poop,
Let's
I've
do it.
had to pause before because I've had a poop. So Andrew's probably gonna put this poop story at the
That
end.
sounds good. That sounds good.
All right, I'm gonna do another one too.
Oh my gosh! Wait, let me take a sip of this. Okay.
So we are now going to play Courtney's interview with Hollie, our special guest. And for the remainder of that time, I'm going to pretend like I'm not here. And I'm going to close my eyes and count to 50. And by the time I count to 50, I'll be back. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And I feel the same. I thought the exact same thought. I'm like,
Mhm.
you know, I wonder if Stella, stop licking your butthole. Cut right in the middle of seriousness. Gosh, sorry, babe.
Okay.
All right, you good? You good now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ugh.
Okay. Well, why are you trying to figure out what you're doing? Do you want to tell us if you have any recommendations for them? Just get through it can be your advice. You just got to keep doing it. I said that's bad advice. Don't kill your children.
Don't get caught on camera.
Don't go to the store and say that you're going to whip your kids and kill them because...
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Probably gonna have people coming after me.